Ah, look who came back from the shadows, not broken, not bitter, but burning. Ah, look who walked through silence and turned it into strategy. Look who stood in a room full of noise and let their stillness scream the loudest. Look who wore invisibility like armor, letting every dismissive glance, every whispered doubt, every cold shoulder sharpen their vision. You didn't raise your voice. No, you raised your mind. And they didn't see it coming. They see it now. Oh yes, but it's too late. Too late because you already moved. Too late because you already became the weapon they didn't think to watch. And now they're checkmated. They thought you were slow. They thought you didn't get it. They looked in your eyes and saw calm, maybe confusion, maybe disinterest. But what they didn't see was the inferno beneath, the calculations, the patience, the awareness. They didn't know you were listening deeper than anyone else in the room. They didn't know you were tracking every move, every angle, every shift in tone, every power play disguised as small talk. You didn't just play along. You played beyond. You were never the pawn. You were studying the board, memorizing it, redesigning it, and now, when they blinked, the whole game flipped. And isn't it funny? They thought they were clever. They laughed. Some even pitied you. Because you didn't chase their spotlight. Because you didn't perform your intelligence for their applause. Because you didn't bend to compete for crumbs at their table. But what they missed was the truth. You are the table. You are the storm behind the smile, the blueprint behind the silence, the genius behind the blank face. And they finally realized it. But realization is not redemption. Realization is not reversal. The clock has run out. You didn't need to explain yourself. You didn't argue. You didn't correct their small-minded expectations. You let them think what they wanted, because while they were speaking, you were building. While they were mocking, you were mastering. While they were busy being loud, you were becoming undeniable. And now, in their stunned silence, in their backpedaling and nervous admiration, you see it clearly. They know. They know they underestimated you. They know they mistook your stillness for stupidity, your quiet for weakness, your questions for ignorance. And now? Now they wish they had paid attention. Now they wish they hadn't spoken so soon. Now they wish they had seen you for what you truly were. But this isn't about proving them wrong. No, this is bigger. This is about proving yourself right. Because somewhere deep down, you always knew. You knew you weren't made to fit their molds. You knew you had something burning in you that didn't need validation to grow. You knew that just because the world rewards noise doesn't mean it respects depth. And you chose depth. You chose to wait. You chose to grow in the dark, to become in the quiet. You chose the long game, and that's why you won. People forget, pressure doesn't create character, it reveals it. And when life squeezed you, when the room ignored you, when they thought you were nothing more than background noise, you didn't break. You didn't beg, you didn't shrink. You transformed, quietly, relentlessly, brilliantly. Every setback refined you. Every insult redirected you. Every dismissal made your strategy sharper. And when the moment came, when the board reset and the stakes were real, you didn't hesitate. You moved, and it was flawless. They say the best revenge is success, but this isn't even revenge. This is realization. This is the echo of all the times you stayed silent instead of screaming. This is the glow of a fire they never saw flickering behind your calm eyes. This is the victory of someone who never needed to be seen to be powerful. And now, in this moment, as the dust settles and they look at you with widened eyes, you don't even have to say a word. Your actions said everything. Your results screamed every truth they refused to see. And now? Now, they realize why you played dumb. Let them sit with it. You see, the world is quick to judge surface. People are drawn to flash, to volume, to performance. But they forget that the deadliest minds are often the quietest, that the most dangerous warriors are the ones who don't show their weapons, that the most genius players don't show their moves until it's too late. And you became all of that. Not because you wanted to fool them, but because you had something more powerful than image. You had intention. You didn't want to be the loudest. You wanted to be the last one standing. You didn't seek to shine in every room. You sought to own it when the time was right. You didn't just want their attention. You wanted their respect. And the truth is, if you had shown them everything from the beginning, they would have only copied, diluted, or discredited you. So instead, you let them overlook you. You let them sleep on you. You let them write their stories. And then you rewrote the ending. They played checkers. You studied chess. They tried to win the moment. You planned the empire. And now, the empire is here. Your moves were slow, but seismic. Your growth was quiet, but nuclear. You weren't the echo. You were the origin. And that is why they lost. Not because you tricked them, but because they assumed you needed to. And so, you stand now, not just in victory, but in clarity. You don't need to explain your past. You don't need to rewrite your history to make sense to their limited view. You are proof that silence can be strength, that humility can be strategy, that underestimation is not defeat, it is opportunity. They wrote you off, and now they're rewriting their memories trying to pretend they always saw it. But you know the truth, and you don't need their applause. Because you didn't come for their approval, you came for the crown, and you claimed it. Now they sit there, stunned, trying to remember what you said in that meeting, trying to recall the way you watched, how you listened, how you never reacted. They're piecing it together now. The signs, the signals, the genius hiding behind the blank face. It's clear now. It's undeniable now. It's too late now. Checkmate. And now the silence is heavier than any words they ever spoke. It weighs down on their shoulders, because truth, when it arrives, doesn't knock. It crashes through like lightning. And they sit there, wide-eyed, trying to understand how they missed it, how they misjudged the one person who was never trying to be seen, but always destined to be remembered. Because this was never about popularity. This was about precision. This was never about being liked. This was about being necessary, irreplaceable, unshakable. You didn't come to impress them. You came to change the terms of the game. You didn't smile to win them over. You smiled because you knew what they didn't. You knew how many steps ahead you already were. You knew they couldn't see the storm forming behind your stillness. And now, that storm has arrived, and it carries your name. They thought you were playing catch-up, but what you were really doing was letting them run ahead, loud and distracted, while you mapped the whole terrain. They were sprinting. You were building. And when the dust settled, when the path twisted, when the weight of the journey demanded more than showmanship, that's when you emerged, not exhausted, not scrambling, but steady, prepared, transformed, because you didn't wait for a seat at their table. You built your own kingdom. You didn't knock on doors hoping to be invited in. You tore the ground and planted foundations, and now they're watching the empire rise, brick by brick, layer by layer. And the part that rattles them the most is this: you did it without asking, without explaining, without needing them to understand. You let them think they were ahead. You let them win the small battles. Because you weren't here to win their moments. You were here to win the war of becoming. And now, they look up at the throne and realize they never saw the crown. Because it wasn't made of gold, or applause, or likes, or promotions. Your crown was made of restraint, of vision, of unseen battles fought alone in rooms no one applauded, of late nights, rejections, quiet mornings, and relentless belief. They were noisy. You were focused. They were visible. You were inevitable. You didn't need the crowd. You needed time. And you used every second like a master sculptor, carving your mind into precision, sharpening your thoughts like blades, grinding your fears into fuel. And now, you're not just ready. You're unreachable. not because they can't find you, but because they can't comprehend how far ahead you truly are. They called you too quiet, too passive, too unsure. And now those same voices are trying to mimic your silence, trying to decipher your formula, trying to borrow your patience as if it were something you can imitate. But what they don't know is, your stillness was not emptiness, it was discipline. Your blank face wasn't confusion, it was calculation. You were never behind, you were watching everything, and now the same ones who underestimated you are looking for answers in your wake. But you've moved on, you've elevated, you're no longer explaining, you're executing. And execution doesn't make noise, it makes impact. Let them replay the moments in their minds, the meetings, the conversations, the chances they had to see you, to recognize the genius beneath the mask of modesty. Let them remember how they laughed, how they ignored, how they assumed. Let them feel the sharpness of that realization, because now they understand, and now they realize why you played dumb. But it wasn't an act, it was a layer of protection, while you built something no one could touch. A layer that allowed you to work in peace, while they paraded their half-formed ideas as brilliance. You weren't hiding your light, you were charging it. You weren't suppressing your intelligence, you were shaping it into a weapon. And now, that weapon has been unleashed. But here's the truth they'll never say out loud. They needed you all along. You were the one who saw the gaps. You were the one who held the thread that kept things together. You were the one who knew how to fix what they kept breaking. But they were too proud to ask, too arrogant to see, too blind to admit that genius doesn't always come loud. Sometimes it comes cloaked in silence, in presence, in you. And now they're checkmated, not by force, not by fury, but by the slow, exact hand of someone who understood that time favors the patient. That silence is power when it holds intention. That being overlooked isn't a curse, it's a gift, because now they can't undo it. They can't take back the dismissals, the jokes, the condescension. They can't rewind the moment they laughed at your question or looked past your contribution. And that's the true beauty of it all. You didn't rise in spite of them. You rose without them. You didn't need their permission. You didn't wait for their green light. You became the road they now try to follow, and you don't even look back. Because your mission is not vengeance. It's not about proving every hater wrong. It's about proving the version of you that never gave up was right. The version of you that sat alone and said, one day they'll understand. The version that kept pushing even when the applause never came. The version that walked into every room, invisible, but knew one day they'll see. Well, they see now. Too late. Because now you've already become. You've already passed the point of needing them. You've turned rejection into resilience. You've turned isolation into innovation. You've turned doubt into destiny. And you wear it all, not as revenge, but as revelation. You were never lost. You were never behind. You were simply becoming the kind of unstoppable that silence required. And now they finally know. You never played dumb. You just played deep. And now that everything is in motion, now that your name is being spoken in rooms they never imagined you'd walk into, now that your work is being cited, your methods being studied, your results undeniable, the silence around them grows even louder. Because what can they say now? The ones who thought they had it all figured out are suddenly speechless in the face of someone they thought they already understood. They didn't just misjudge you, they miscalculated. And in the game of strategy, that's fatal. You were never the underdog. You were just quiet in the lab while they danced on the surface. They thought life was a sprint, but you knew. It's an engineered campaign of movement, stillness, and timing. They thought they could outpace you with noise. You let them try. You let them exhaust themselves chasing illusions while you built foundations from bedrock. And here's the poetic justice. You never once needed to shout, to flash, to scream for your place. You simply became so essential that ignoring you became impossible. Not because you demanded attention, but because you commanded respect through performance, through vision, through unshakable inner mastery. And when people saw the finished product, the polished steel of your mind, the calm thunder of your presence, they had to ask themselves, how long was this greatness hidden in plain sight? But you weren't hiding. You were preparing. There is a power in not being seen, in not being understood too early. There is strength in being underestimated, because it frees you to move without interference. It lets others expose their assumptions. It lets the world drop its guard. And while their eyes were looking elsewhere, you grew wings. Not all at once, but deliberately, quietly, day by day. So when your time came, you didn't have to announce it. You just took flight, and now you soar above the noise, above the doubts, above the boxes they tried to cram you into. You're not trying to fit anymore. You outgrew the frame. You're not looking to be included anymore, because you created your own realm. And in that space, where others see only what's trending, you see what's true. That's what makes you dangerous. Not just that you're brilliant, but that you know when to hold, when to wait, when to strike. This world wasn't ready for someone who didn't chase applause, someone who didn't flinch when ignored, someone who was willing to be doubted if it meant being free to build without compromise. But now, they have no choice but to accept the new truth. You are not who they thought you were. You are far, far more. And the beauty of it, you've already won. Not just the opportunity, the position, the respect. You've won the internal war, the one where you questioned your worth, the one where you almost broke from loneliness, the one where you doubted if the wait would be worth it. You beat that voice. You stood your ground. And now you walk forward, not looking for validation, but carrying proof. Living proof. Every step you take is built on the ashes of everything they thought would hold you down. You turn their doubt into fuel. You turn their silence into signal. You turn their absence into advantage. So let them realize now. Let them sit in that late revelation. Let them revisit the moments where they dismissed your presence, where they smirked when you asked the hard questions, where they mistook your stillness for surrender. Because now, it's all turned. The same people who talked over you are quoting you. The same people who rushed ahead are trying to catch up. And the same people who thought they had it all now realize they were playing checkers on your chessboard. Checkmate. No celebration needed, no explanation offered. Just the cold, undeniable truth. You became exactly what they never saw coming. So walk forward, chin high, eyes steady, mind sharp. Because from this moment on, you no longer owe the world your silence, but you own the power it gave you. And let this be the message to anyone else walking through the fire unseen. You don't need to prove your worth every time they doubt it. You don't need to fight for visibility in a world too distracted to see the real ones. Let them sleep on you. Let them underestimate. Let them laugh. Because when it's time, when you've sharpened your edge in silence, when you've prepared with full conviction, there will come a moment where all the lies they told about you dissolve, and only the truth remains, not in what you say, but in what you've become. And when that moment comes, remember, this isn't the revenge. This is the reveal. This is the moment when the world opens its eyes and sees that the genius behind the blank face was never gone. It was rising, quietly, completely, unstoppably. So now, say nothing. Just move. And let them watch. Because now, they realize why you played dumb. Too late. Checkmate. And maybe now they sit in rooms with your name echoing off the walls, wondering how they missed it. Maybe now they scroll back through the memories, the meetings, the messages, trying to find that one clue, that one moment they could have seen it. But they never will. Because the truth is, You didn't give them clues. You gave them chances, and they wasted them. That blank face, that was the storm shield. That was the veil behind which your brilliance was incubated, unbothered, untainted. It wasn't apathy. It was discipline. It wasn't confusion. It was strategy. You weren't spacing out. You were looking through the room and through time. While they were focused on appearances, you were focused on architecture. You were engineering a future so precise that even their absence would serve as bricks in your empire. You don't hold grudges. You hold receipts, not for vengeance, but for perspective. Because when the world circles back, when the ones who ignored you suddenly remember your name, you'll smile. Not out of arrogance, but out of clarity. Because you finally understand that being doubted is not a death sentence, it's a disguise. And some of the most dangerous minds were born in the soil of being underestimated. So let them keep whispering. Let them analyze. Let them fumble to rewrite the history where they played the role of supporter instead of skeptic. It's too late for them to edit the truth. It's already burned into reality. You were always the one. They just never had the eyes to see. And you? You didn't just survive the silence. You turned it into your kingdom. You made solitude your university. You made doubt your compass. You made every dismissive look, every overlooked idea, every quiet humiliation into fuel. And with it, you built not just a legacy, you built armor. The kind that shines without being polished. The kind that doesn't flinch when the past tries to return with compliments. Because you know now, the same mouths that ignored you when you had nothing will praise you now. Not because they changed, but because you did. But your journey was never about proving them wrong. It was about proving that your silence held substance, that you didn't need to be loud to be legendary. That being overlooked didn't mean being over, because some of the brightest stars are born in the parts of the sky where no one bothers to look. And now that you've stepped forward, not loud, not boastful, but unignorable, the world begins to shift, and they realize they weren't just blind to your presence, they were blind to your potential. And in a game where time is the true currency, they spent theirs laughing. You invested yours becoming. And now the return on that investment is shaking the ground beneath them. So walk tall. Not because they see you now, but because you always saw yourself. Their realization doesn't validate your brilliance. It merely confirms their blindness. Their late applause doesn't empower your steps. It just adds background noise to the symphony you already started conducting in silence. And when they ask how you did it, don't explain. Because it was never about a single move, or a clever tactic, or one lucky break. It was about everything they didn't see. The hours no one counted. The nights you almost gave up. The days you smiled and nodded when your soul was screaming for recognition. The hundreds of small, painful, thankless acts of discipline. That's where the genius was forged. Not in their gaze, but in your grind. And now you're not just checkmating their perceptions. You're rewriting the game itself. The rules no longer apply to you because you transcended the game board. You don't move piece by piece anymore. You move entire paradigms. You don't step into rooms hoping to be chosen. Rooms are rebuilt around your presence. And in this moment, you no longer wonder if they'll see, because now, you know, they do. And it's too late. So breathe deep. Let the silence return. Let the realization echo in their minds long after you've left. Let the blank face be replaced by your unshakable focus. Let the genius they ignored now haunt every corner of the game they thought they controlled. Because the quiet ones, the ones they doubted, the ones they forgot, they're the ones who become the reason the room changes. You were the storm in disguise. You were the plan in plain sight. And now that you've moved, the entire board is yours. You know, there's a certain beauty in silence, isn't there? Not just any silence, but that silence, the kind of silence that follows. When someone walks away for the last time, it's heavy, it's haunting, it lingers in the air like cigarette smoke, and you can feel it in your bones, you can taste it in the back of your throat, you can hear it, even though nothing is being said. And that silence doesn't just happen, it builds up. It takes time, years, even. And when it comes, it cuts deeper than any words ever could, because you know what led to that silence. You know what was said and what was left unsaid. You know why it happened, and you can feel the weight of it in every breath. You take that silence. It's the end. It's final. There's no going back after it. It's not just the end of a conversation. It's the end of an era. It's the end of a chapter in your life. You'll never be able to revisit because you'll never let yourself go back to that place. Not after what happened. Not after they crossed the line. Not after they pushed you too far. Not after they made you feel small and insignificant for the last time, and you finally snapped something inside. You broke, and that silence was born in the moments that followed. You see, sometimes in life, you reach a point where enough is enough. You've taken so much that you've lost count of how many times you've been knocked down and picked yourself up again. You've smiled through the pain. You've told yourself that it's all going to be okay, that things will get better, that they'll change. But deep down, you know, better. You've known for a while, but you kept telling yourself the same lie because you didn't want to face the truth that maybe they're never going to change. Maybe you've been giving more than you've ever gotten, and maybe, just maybe it's time to stop. Maybe the moment has arrived when you no longer need to tolerate their crap, when you no longer need to accept the abuse, when you no longer need to settle for being treated like you're less than what you are. You've endured enough. You've been patient enough. You've given enough. And now it's your turn now. It's time to take your power back. And it doesn't matter if they didn't see it coming, because the truth is, they didn't know. It was the last time, ever, you would take their bullshit. They never saw the storm coming. They never saw how close they were to pushing you over the edge. They never saw the signs because they were too caught up in their own selfish world to pay attention to the person standing right in front of them. They didn't realize that you'd been pushed and pulled and dragged around for so long that one day you'd stop putting up with it. And when that moment came, when you reached the breaking point, when you finally realized that you deserved more than they were willing to give, that's when the silence hit. That's when you stopped pretending that everything was okay. That's when you stopped letting them disrespect you. That's when you stopped taking their shot for the last time. You remember that moment, don't you? The one where everything changed. The moment when you took a step back, and for the first time in a long time, you saw yourself clearly. You saw the strength inside you. You saw the resilience, the power, the fire that had been waiting to be unleashed. And it was in that moment that you realized you didn't need them. You didn't need their approval. You didn't need their validation. You didn't need their fake love or their empty promises. You didn't need to be their emotional punching bag anymore. You didn't need to be the one who always forgave, the one who always gave in, the one who always kept quiet and let them get away with their behavior. You were done with it. You were done letting them walk all over you. You were done being the one who always took the blame, the one who always caved, the one who always took their bullshit. And what's even more beautiful is that they'll never know when the shift happened. They'll never know when you reached the point where you stopped caring, when you stopped letting them affect you, when you stopped letting their words tear you down. They won't know, because they'll be too busy living in their own little bubble, thinking that they have control over you, thinking that they can continue to walk all over you, thinking that they can keep getting away with it. But the truth is, they're already too late. You've already made the decision. You've already closed that chapter. You've already let go of the past, and no matter how much they try to drag you back into their toxic world, no matter how much they try to gaslight you, or manipulate you, or make you doubt yourself, it won't work, because you know who you are now. You know what you deserve now, and you will never let anyone take that away from you, ever again. It's a powerful feeling, isn't it? To know that you are no longer the victim, to know that you have the power to walk away, to know that you don't have to take their shit anymore. And the beauty of it is that you didn't even have to say a word. You didn't have to make a scene. You didn't have to scream or shout. You didn't have to beg for their attention. You didn't have to plead for their love. You simply walked away in silence. And that silence spoke louder than any words ever could, because they knew deep down that they had lost you forever. And that realization hit them harder than anything you could have said. Because when you finally stop taking their shit, when you finally stand up for yourself, when you finally stop tolerating their toxic behavior, it's not just the end of that relationship. It's the end of everything they thought they had with you. It's the end of their power over you. And they'll never see it coming, because they'll never understand why they lost you. They'll never understand that it wasn't something you said or did. It was just that one day you woke up and realized that you deserved better. And that's when the silence came. That's when you took their bullshit for the last time. And here's the thing, you don't owe them an explanation. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them anything anymore, because you've already given them everything they ever deserved and more. And if they couldn't appreciate it, if they couldn't recognize it, if they couldn't see the value in what you brought to their life, then that's their loss, not yours. And it's a hard lesson to learn, but it's a lesson that you'll carry with you for the rest of your life. Because once you realize that you don't need anyone to validate your worth, once you realize that you don't need anyone's approval to be whole, once you realize that your happiness isn't dependent on anyone but you, that's when you unlock a power inside yourself that nothing can take away from you ever again. So the next time they try to come back into your life with their empty apologies, with their fake promises, with their manipulative tactics, don't even blink, don't even flinch. Don't let them see a crack in your armor, because you know what you've been through. You know what they put you through. And you know that you're never going back to that place. You've already made your peace with it. You've already walked away. And now, all you have to do is keep moving forward, because that's what you do now. You don't look back. You don't go back. You don't give second chances to people who didn't know how to appreciate you the first time around. You don't waste your time on people who don't deserve a place in your life. You don't waste your energy on people who can't even recognize your worth. You've learned the hard way that not everyone who comes into your life deserves to stay there. And not everyone who tells you they love you actually does. And sometimes the hardest thing you'll ever do is walk away from someone who never valued you. But it's also the most freeing thing you'll ever do, because once you let go of the people who bring nothing but negativity into your life, once you stop accepting the bullshit, once you stop tolerating the abuse, that's when you make room for the people who truly deserve your time and your energy. The people who will lift you up, the people who will respect you, the people who will love you the way you deserve to be loved. And that's the kind of peace that silence brings. Because when you finally stop allowing the bullshit, when you finally stop letting people take advantage of you, when you finally stop accepting less than what you're worth, that's when you find the freedom to live your life on your own terms. So walk away in silence and let them wonder. Why? Let them wonder when they lost you. Let them wonder what went wrong, because deep down, they already know the truth. They already know that they had their chance, and they blew it. But that's not your problem anymore. That's theirs, and you've moved on, and you'll never look back. You've taken their bullshit for the last time, and now it's your time to shine. You've endured the pain, weathered the storms, carried the weight of others' expectations, and swallowed your pride long enough. You stood there, day in and day out, convincing yourself that things would change, that they would eventually see you, truly see you, for all you've given. But what do you get in return? More disrespect, more neglect, more of the same old bullshit, and you accepted it. For a while, you accepted it because you thought you had no choice. But now you've realized, finally realized, that there is always a choice, that you can decide when enough is enough, and when you do, nothing will be the same. This moment, this decision, doesn't just change your circumstances, it changes you. You step into a version of yourself that you've been hiding from for too long. You've allowed the world to dictate who you are. You've let people who never deserved a second of your time shape your reality. They told you who you should be, how you should act, what you should tolerate. And every time you bent, every time you compromised, a piece of you withered. But you, in your quiet rebellion, you've begun to take that power back. They didn't know it would be the last time you took their shot because you never told them. You never showed them the limit of your endurance. You never painted the line in front of them, hoping they'd respect it. But deep inside, you knew. You knew that the threshold was growing smaller with each passing day. And now that you've crossed it, you're unstoppable. You've stopped waiting for permission to stand up for yourself. You stopped seeking validation from people who don't even know the first thing about you. And the funny thing is, they'll never see it coming. They'll never realize what's happening until it's too late. It's not like they'll wake up one day and magically understand what they've been doing to you. No, they'll be too wrapped up in their own chaos to even notice that the rug has been pulled from under them. You've stopped playing their game, stopped letting them call the shots. You've closed the door on that chapter, and they'll be left scrambling, trying to figure out why the hell you're no longer there. You don't have to explain it to them. You don't owe them that. They never gave you that same courtesy, did they? They never took a second to consider how their words, their actions, their silence hurt you. They never cared to know how it felt to be ignored, to be manipulated, to be left behind with no real explanation. But now, as you walk away, you'll find something they could never give you. Peace. Peace in knowing you've broken free from the chains they tried to keep you in. Peace in knowing you can stand alone, without fear, without guilt, without shame. You've come to understand that your worth is not dependent on anyone but you. Not on the approval of those who treated you like an afterthought. Not on the validation of those who never believed in you. You've started to see the value in your own reflection. You've started to feel the power that's always been within you. The power to decide your own fate, to choose your own path. No one else can dictate that anymore. And when the silence falls, when you've cut the ties and walked away, that silence will speak volumes. It will tell the world that you are no longer a puppet in anyone's play. You are not someone's emotional crutch, someone's backup plan, or someone's last resort. You are everything you need to be, and you don't need their permission to shine. Your worth doesn't need to be acknowledged or validated by anyone. It simply is. There's a fierce freedom in that realization, a freedom that will carry you through the hardest days. Because now, when the storms come, and they will, that's life, you'll be ready. Not because you're immune to the pain, but because you know how to handle it. You know that you are capable of standing tall, even when the world tries to knock you down. You've faced the worst, you've survived the chaos, and you've walked away from the people who were never meant to be a part of your story. That, my friend, is strength. And it's something they'll never understand. They'll never understand how you could let go so easily, how you could just walk away from them without looking back. They won't realize that the person they lost wasn't just someone who was there to take their abuse, to take their disregard, to take their false promises. No, the person they lost was someone who woke up, someone who saw the world for what it was and realized that they deserved better, someone who realized they didn't need anyone else's approval to stand on their own. As they sit there trying to piece together what went wrong, you'll be moving forward. You'll be finding new people who will treat you with the respect you deserve. You'll be building a life where you are the priority, not the afterthought. And when they look back, when they reflect on all that they've lost, they'll be left wondering how they ever thought they could get away with treating you like nothing. But here's the beautiful truth. You won't care, not anymore, because the person who allowed them to treat them that way no longer exists. She's gone. He's gone. That version of you is dead. And in its place is someone who has learned the most valuable lesson of all. You are enough. You are worthy. You are deserving of the love, respect, and attention that you've been so freely giving to others for years. And you no longer have to settle for less. It's funny, isn't it, how we spend so much time chasing after people who don't even care to show up for us. How we beg for their love, their attention, their approval. And in the end, all we get is a cold silence, a withdrawal, a retreat into our own selves, trying to figure out where it all went wrong. But you know what? That silence is a gift. It's a gift that tells you to stop running after people who will never see your worth. It's a gift that says, you are done with this chapter. You are done with these people. And once you've decided to leave that behind, once you've truly decided to cut the ties, something magical happens. You become untouchable. Not because you are impervious to pain, not because you don't have flaws, but because you know your worth. You know that no one will ever be able to take advantage of you again. You know that you have the power to walk away at any moment, to take your life back, and to refuse to accept anything less than what you deserve. They'll never know it was the last time you took their bullshit. They'll never understand that you reached a point where you no longer cared for their excuses, their lies, their manipulation. They'll never see that you grew stronger, that you found yourself in the silence, that you discovered a power that had always been yours. And it's in that silence that you will truly shine, my friend. Not with the loud clamor of others, not with their approval, but in the quiet strength that comes from knowing you are enough all on your own. You don't need them. You never did. You've always had the strength, the power, the courage. And now that you've realized it, there's nothing that can stop you. So let the silence speak. Let it carry the weight of everything they never understood. Let it carry the weight of every tear, every hurt, every moment of doubt. Let that silence be your answer. You don't need to explain. You don't need to beg. You don't need anyone's validation. Your time is now. Your shine is inevitable. And there's no one, absolutely no one, who can take that from you. Who can strip away your newfound power, your clarity, your strength. The truth is, no one. Not anymore. They may try. They may come at you with their apologies, their guilt, their promises that they'll change. But you will see through it. You've seen it all before, haven't you? The same old song, the same manipulative tactics, the same lies. They think they can crawl back into your life with a few carefully chosen words, but you're not the same person who would have listened, who would have forgiven, who would have allowed them back in. No, not anymore. The person they lost isn't the person standing in front of them now, and they can never take that power away from you. Because here's the thing, the silence you've created around yourself isn't an absence of noise. It's a shield. It's a force field you've built from the inside out. It's a protection that comes from knowing your worth and refusing to let anyone chip away at it. It's a boundary. one you didn't know how to set until you learned the hard way. And now that it's up, now that it's solid, no one is getting through. Not the same people who hurt you, not the same people who belittled you, not the same people who took advantage of your kindness. You've taken the reins of your own life, and you will no longer hand them over to anyone who doesn't deserve to hold them. In the past, you may have thought that your life was defined by the people around you, by their opinions, by their love, by their expectations. You may have believed that your self-worth was something to be earned, something to be proven to others, but now you know better. You know that your worth is intrinsic, that it exists whether or not anyone else recognizes it. You don't need to be constantly validated by the people around you. You don't need their approval to know that you are enough. In fact, seeking approval from people who never truly valued you in the first place is a waste of your time and energy. You have learned the hard way that the only approval you need is your own. And that's where the real magic happens. When you realize that the only person you need to answer to is yourself, that's when you become unstoppable. That's when you find the freedom to be yourself, to pursue what makes you happy, to live your life without the burden of other people's expectations weighing you down. You can finally stop pretending to be someone you're not. Stop molding yourself into what others think you should be. Stop trying to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. You are free to be your true self, to embrace your own desires, your own dreams, and your own potential. You no longer need to seek permission to live your life on your terms. And when you start living that way, when you start making decisions based on what's best for you, people will notice. But here's the thing. They won't understand it. They won't get it. They'll see your strength and they'll try to break you down. They'll call you selfish. They'll accuse you of changing. They'll try to guilt trip you into returning to the version of yourself that was easier for them to control. But it won't matter, because by this point, you'll see them for who they truly are. You'll recognize their manipulation, their insecurity, their desperation to keep you where they want you. And none of that will matter to you anymore. You won't need their approval, because you'll know, deep in your bones, that you are already whole. You'll stop giving power to people who have no respect for you, no appreciation for all that you've given, and no understanding of what you've been through. You'll stop giving energy to people who are incapable of giving you what you deserve. And in that, you'll find a freedom unlike any other. A freedom that comes not from external validation, but from internal peace. You'll finally be able to let go of the people, the situations, and the mindsets that have been holding you back. You'll be able to shed those layers, to strip away the things that have been weighing you down, and to step into your own power. And as you step into that power, something incredible happens. The people who were once able to take advantage of you, the ones who drained you, the ones who made you feel small, they begin to fall away. They can't handle the new you. They can't handle the version of you that no longer accepts their bullshit. They can't handle the fact that you no longer care whether they like you or not. And they'll try to bring you back into their toxic world, to drag you down to their level. But it won't work, not anymore. Because you've made your decision, you've drawn the line, you've chosen to move forward, to evolve, and to leave behind everything that no longer serves you. It's not an easy decision. Walking away from people you once loved, people you once thought you needed, is never easy, but it's necessary. It's necessary because you can't move forward if you're constantly looking over your shoulder, wondering if they'll change, wondering if they'll finally treat you the way you deserve to be treated. You can't heal if you're still stuck in the same toxic cycles, still allowing the same toxic people to have access to your life. You can't build the future you want if you're constantly dragging the past with you. So you make the decision to leave it all behind. You choose to prioritize your peace, your happiness, and your well-being over the false hope that things will change. And let me tell you something. That decision is liberating. It is not weakness. It is not cowardice. It is strength. It is bravery. It is the kind of courage that only comes from understanding your own worth, from recognizing that you don't need anyone else's approval to be whole. It is the kind of courage that comes from finally realizing that you are enough as you are, that you don't have to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. And as you embrace that courage, as you begin to stand taller and walk through life with your head held high, you'll notice something incredible happening. The people who used to drag you down, the ones who used to make you question your worth, they'll start to fade into the background. They'll try to make noise. They'll try to pull you back into their drama, but it won't work, because you won't be there to listen. You won't be there to entertain their lies, their manipulation, their toxicity. You've moved on. You've let go. And the only thing left for you now is your own journey, your own path, your own story. And that journey, that path, will be filled with new opportunities. It will be filled with new people who appreciate you, who value you, who see you for who you truly are. It will be filled with new experiences that will challenge you, that will help you grow, and that will push you to become the best version of yourself. And it will be filled with the kind of peace that only comes when you stop allowing others to dictate your life. So as you move forward, remember this: you are not defined by anyone else's opinion of you. You are not defined by your past mistakes, by your past hurts, by the people who failed to see your worth. You are defined by your ability to rise above, to walk away when necessary, and to keep moving forward, no matter what. And that, my friend, is something no one can ever take away from you. Because once you've truly embraced the power within yourself, once you've truly let go of the people who never deserved a place in your life, no one can ever take that from you. You are free. And that is the most powerful thing you'll ever be. In the end, you are the one who decides your worth. You are the one who gets to choose who stays and who goes, who has access to your energy and who doesn't. You've learned the hard way that true freedom comes from releasing the things and people that no longer serve you and stepping fully into your own power. No one can take that from you. Not their words, not their manipulation, not their empty apologies. Your strength lies in your ability to walk away when needed, to stop tolerating disrespect, and to put yourself first. This is your time to shine, to live on your terms, and to embrace the incredible potential within you. Don't ever let anyone dim your light again. Destiny knows your name. Tonight, in this gathering of restless spirits, hardened souls who've tasted rejection yet refused defeat, I welcome you. You who dared to believe when the world whispered no. You who bore scars like armor. You who, against every verdict, every sneer, keeps rising as though the universe itself conspired to hand you victory. You keep winning like it's rigged, and they can't take it from you. You see them watching. You see the disbelief in their eyes when you step into the arena, unbeaten or battered, but not broken. Their disbelief becomes fury, because every time they said you'd fail, you laughed. Each time they counted you out, you pressed forward anyway. And yes, there's magic there. A dark beauty in your persistence. A fire in your refusal. You keep pulling this off, pulling the impossible from the ether. Feel it now, the weight of every doubt ever hurled your way, the nights of second guessing, hands trembling, breath shallow, and still, you rose. You keep winning like it's rigged in your favor. Not because the universe is kind, because you refuse to settle, because your will is carved deep into stone, because your hunger is relentless. They can't take it from you because you've made winning not an option, but a demand. because every setback, every bruise, every almost built in you something indestructible. You won't allow defeat to define you. You won't let failure own you. You are not fragile. You are forged in the fire of confrontation. There's a curse and there's a blessing in being that someone unstoppable. The curse, they doubt you. They undermine you. They whisper behind your back. They swear your luck will run out. Maybe they try to cheat. Maybe they hope you slip. But you, listen, you've already broken the mold they tried to trap you in. Every time they built walls, you climbed them or burned them. The blessing, you know what you're made of. You know how deep you can go. You know what it costs to rise. You know the darkness, the fear, the moments you felt too small, too tired. Yet you pressed on, and that pressing becomes your signature. That pushing becomes your map. When the world wants to pit you down, you choose to stand higher. You keep pulling this off, not because it's easy, not because doors opened for you, not because luck favored you, because you wanted it more than comfort, more than peace, more than validation, because your dream was louder than their noise, because you believed even when every sign said otherwise. They ask, how the hell do you keep pulling this off? They think it's secrets. They think it's charmed. They think somebody must have rigged it. They want an explanation, a loophole, an edge. But there is no secret aside from your willingness to bleed, to get back up after every knockdown, the refusal to shrink, the promise you made to yourself that you will outlast every shadow, every skeptic, every moment of despair. You are winning because you walk through fire without letting it burn you, because you stare down your fear and you do it afraid, because you stack your small victories, one after another, until they cannot deny your progress, because you make consistency your weapon, because when others stop, you keep stepping, one foot in front of the other, blood, sweat, maybe tears, but moving. They measure success by grand moments, but you know the war is won in tiny choices made daily. When you decided to show up again, when you decided to keep training, keep studying, keep creating, keep believing, when you decided that yesterday's loss is not today's prisons, when you refuse to carry the baggage of past shame into your emerging greatness, they pit you against odds. They celebrate your failures with whispers. They gift you blame for outcomes you couldn't control. They benchmark you by standards you didn't set. But still you win. Not just because you outwork them, but because you outlast them. Because you own your narrative. Because you fight with integrity, with purpose. Because you align your soul with what matters, not with what's easy. Let them talk about luck. Let them say your path looks easy. Let them underestimate the cost. Let them search for an angle, a cheat, a miracle. The real miracle is your discipline. The real miracle is your refusal to give in to pity. The real miracle is that despite everything you've seen, you kept faith in yourself. Not faith in luck, but faith in your capacity to endure, to cultivate, to transcend. Your wins, they are loud echoes. Every time you rise, someone else thinks twice. Every time you succeed, someone else reconsiders. Every time you pull off something improbable, you shatter someone else's limit. And that's the gift you give. You expand what's possible. You force reality to widen. You keep winning like it's rigged. Because in your mind, you already rigged it. You already set up your mindset that failure was not an option. You built systems. You trained habits. You surrounded yourself with truth, even when it hurt. You embraced discomfort. You accepted pain. You made yourself impossible to ignore. They can't take it because it lives inside you. It's in your scars, your sweat, your early mornings, your late nights, the time you skipped rest, the time you pushed when nobody saw. They can't take it because they were never there in that lonely struggle. They weren't in your gut when doubt sat heavy. They didn't hear your whispered prayers. They didn't witness your silent promise. If the world turns against me, I turn on myself harder, harder until there's nothing left but victory. Notice this. The people who resent your success lack one thing: commitment. Not to the goal, but to the grind. They want the applause without the fallout. They want the trophy without the bruises. They want the flower without the roots. You don't. You've tasted the roots. You've known despair. Yet you water yourself anyway. You root deeper anyway. You keep winning because you bent the world, not by violence, but by persistence. Not by shortcuts, but by integrity. Not by avoidance, but by confronting what others refuse. You unlearned comfort. You embraced hunger. You rewrote your standards. You chose a way few walk. Yes, there are nights when the doubt hollows your chest. Nights when everything seems against you. Nights when profit seems too far. When success seems too delicate to trust. Nights when you question how much longer. But every time you stand at that crossroads, every time you decide to step forward anyway, that decision births power. That decision becomes proof. You keep winning, not because you've stopped losing, but because you've refused to stay down. Every loss becomes a lesson. Every betrayal becomes a mirror to sharpen your vision. Every failure becomes a rung on your ladder, even if it bruises your pride. They'll try to undermine your victories. They'll try to rewrite your history. They'll twist your failures and forget your effort. They'll celebrate small stumbles more than they recognize steady climbs. But you, they can't rewrite your soul. They can't undo your tenacity. They can't reclaim the resolve you poured out in the silent hours. So own your victories. Let your wins settle into your bones so deeply that when someone challenges you, you feel the memory of the fire in your veins. Let each hard-earned triumph be a fortress against future storms. Let your heart beat with the weight of what you've carried, what you survived, and what, in spite of everything, you built. Relish it. Not because you want pride, but because you deserve recognition. Not from them, from you. Acknowledge how far you've come. Celebrate that the odds didn't bury you, the storms didn't drown you, the betrayals didn't break you. Keep moving, keep pushing, keep winning, because you are not here for comfort anymore. You are not here to seek permission. You are here to break limits, to carve space, to shake foundations. You are here so that when they ask, how the hell did you keep pulling this off? You smile, because you know. You know how many mornings you dragged yourself out. You know how many dreams you've stitched together with sweat. You know how many times you chose hope when giving up seemed easier. They can't take your wins because they were born in struggle. They can't take your wins because they are stamped with your persistence. They can't take your wins because you own the cost. You didn't inherit success. You didn't stumble into victory. You crafted it. You built it. You earned it. So let the darkness test you. Let the silence mock you at first. Let the disappointment sting. Let the doubters whisper. Let every crash of failure echo. But you persist. Persist until your success is undeniable. Persist until your light blinds every skeptic. Persist until the world has no choice but to witness your power. You keep winning like it's rigged because you rigged your mindset, because you decided my pace, my fight, my truth, my win. And nothing in this world is heavier than a conviction rooted in who you are. They can't take it. Let them try, because what you've built is inside your bones, inside your soul. What you've won is etched in blood, in time, in sacrifice. They can't remove what you have carried. They can't steal the moments nobody saw, the tears, the relentless return. Stand tall, breathe deep. Remember how many times you stepped out when fear tugged you back. Remember how many times you promised yourself one more try. Let that remembrance be your fire. Pose like this. You won't bow, you won't cave, you won't let their disbelief bind you. And tonight, hear this clearly. You are not a lucky shot. You are a force. You are a truth machine that keeps manifesting victories. You are excellence in motion. You are triumph happening, already unfolding. So go. Go with the dark behind you, fueling you. Go with the builders of dreams in your bones. Go with the fear you've swallowed and turned into courage. Go with the scars that map your journey. Go with the knowledge that you keep winning like it's rigged. Because in your mind, in your spirit, in your hustle, it has been rigged. Rigged by purpose. Rigged by sacrifice. Rigged by a relentless refusal to quit. They can't take it. Not now, not ever. Because this is your win. This is your moment. This is your becoming. Watch as the world tries to explain you away. Let them scramble for answers. You know the answer. The answer is you. You keep winning. Because you chose it. Because you earned it. Because you are built for this. Because nothing and no one can stop a soul determined to win. So go ahead, keep winning. Keep pulling this off. Because when they ask, how the hell, you'll smile because you know. You know exactly how you did it. And that truth silences every doubter. Tonight you rise. Always you rise. And now, listen to the silence behind your name. That quiet pause when they speak of you, unsure whether to call it luck, madness, or genius. That hesitation, that's your impact. That's the aftermath of your resilience. They whisper, they speculate. They try to place your success into a box that makes sense to them. But you broke the mold long ago. They don't know what to call it because they've never seen it. They've never met someone like you. You weren't built for average. You were never designed to blend in. You've always walked that lonely path, the one carved through storms and silence, the one paved with sacrifice. And even when no one clapped, even when no one believed, you believed. You believed because something in you, raw, unshakable, knew that the world needed what only you could bring. They want a formula. They want a 5-step plan to explain how you keep making it work, how you keep breaking through barriers like they were made of glass and not on. But what they don't see is the war that happens behind the scenes, the nights you cry and still show up, the times you hear no, but turn it into momentum, the countless hours you spent building your craft when no one was watching, applauding, or caring. You became something that scares them. Not because you threaten them physically, but because your existence proves something dangerous, that no excuse is valid. You are proof that discipline defeats doubt, that persistence overpowers privilege, that heart will always outlast hype. And here's the secret. You keep pulling this off because you're not afraid to fail. You've seen failure so close. You've sat with it like an old friend. And instead of letting it define you, you let it refine you. You used it like fuel, burned it until it became clarity. You don't fear failure anymore because you've turned it into fire. Let them wonder. Let them try to analyze. Let them piece together your puzzle from the outside looking in. But they'll never figure it out because they're missing the most important piece, your why. The purpose that drives you so deep that you'd rather go down fighting than sit safely on the sidelines. That purpose makes you untouchable. That purpose is your edge. And every time they ask, how the hell do you keep pulling this off? Smile, because you know they couldn't survive one chapter of your story. Not the late nights, not the betrayal, not the rejection, not the pressure, not the loneliness of being on a path few are brave enough to walk. They only see the glow. They don't see the grind. But that's fine. You didn't do it for them. You did it because something inside you refused to let your story end in mediocrity. You did it because you saw a future only you could see, and you chased it with everything you had. That's what it means to win, like it's rigged. Not that the odds are in your favor, but that your will is. Not that you had the tools, but that you forged them. Not that the world opened the door, but that you kicked it down when no one would let you in. You made it look effortless, not because it was, but because you made peace with the pain. You made peace with the struggle, and you turned it into movement, into power, into performance, into impact. You are not a fluke. You are not a mystery. You are not a moment. You are a movement, a declaration that adversity is no match for audacity, a reminder that faith in yourself is the most powerful kind of belief. And you keep winning because you never needed permission to begin. You didn't wait for someone to crown you. You built your own throne. You didn't ask to be chosen. You chose yourself. You didn't beg for a shot. You created the opportunity from nothing, even when the world called it impossible. Your story is uncomfortable to watch because it dismantles every excuse. It exposes every shortcut. It demands that others confront what they've avoided, and that makes them uneasy. But that's not your burden to carry. Let them sit in their discomfort. You've sat in yours long enough. Now, it's your time to rise, and you don't owe anyone a breakdown of your process. You don't need to explain your tenacity. Your work is your witness. Your consistency is your explanation. And your victory? That's the loudest truth of all. You want to know the truth? The reason you keep winning is because you learned how to lose. You learned how to rebuild. You learned how to take disappointment and turn it into direction. You learned that resilience is not a feeling. It's a decision. A decision you made over and over again. Even when it hurt. Even when it didn't make sense. Even when quitting was easier. And that decision became your armor. Your mindset became your kingdom. And now, they're wondering how you keep ascending, how you keep evolving. But you know, it's because you never stopped climbing. Even when the mountain seemed endless, even when your legs shook, even when your mind screamed at you to stop, you didn't. You are walking proof that grit outlives glamour, that obsession outlasts obstacles, that hunger overpowers hesitation, that real power, true, grounded, earned power, cannot be faked, cannot be bought, and cannot be taken away. You keep winning like it's rigged because you made yourself undeniable, and the world doesn't know what to do with someone who refuses to be erased, someone who refuses to fade out quietly, someone who isn't waiting to be rescued or recognized, someone who has already written their name in legacy before the world had time to catch up. So let them say what they want. Let them label you arrogant. Let them say you got lucky. Let them call it unfair. Let them try to explain it away. Because deep down, they know. They know you're not supposed to be here, but you are. They know you weren't supposed to win, but you did. Again and again. And now They'll watch in silence as you keep doing it, as you keep showing up, as you keep building, as you keep pulling off what they swore was impossible. Because your grind doesn't need witnesses. Your greatness doesn't need approval. Your destiny doesn't require their blessing. So when they ask again, in that voice full of disbelief, how the hell do you keep pulling this off? You won't need to answer. Your actions will speak. Your presence will roar. Your wins, they will echo louder than any doubt ever dared to speak. And the truth will be undeniable. You keep winning because you refuse to stop, because you were never waiting for it to be easy, because you made a choice the world wasn't ready for, to become everything they said you couldn't. And now, they can't take it from you. Not ever. Not now. Not when you've earned it in silence and claimed it in storms. Because you keep winning like it's rigged, because it is. Rigged by your fire. Rigged by your fight. Rigged by your refusal to quit. And the world will have no choice but to watch you rise again and again and again. And now we arrive at the part they never see, the invisible weight, the toll, the inner war you fight when no one is looking. Because for every win they cheer, for every outcome they try to decode, there are 1,000 moments you stood in front of the mirror and asked yourself if it was even worth it. You've doubted, haven't you? Quietly, privately. You've sat in stillness while everything screamed at you to give in, to fold, to vanish into the sea of ordinary. But something inside you refused. That refusal, it's not arrogance, it's not ego, it's survival. It's the whisper that says, I didn't come this far to stop here. And that whisper is louder than their shouts. That whisper carries you across oceans of fatigue, deserts of doubt, mountains of pressure. That whisper becomes your compass. That whisper becomes your legacy. So while they scratch their heads, trying to figure out how you keep pulling this off, understand, it's never been about proving them wrong. That was never the goal. You weren't born to answer their questions. You were born to answer your calling. And your calling doesn't speak in applause. It speaks in alignment. It speaks in silence. It speaks in the unshakable knowing that you are exactly where you're meant to be, even when it hurts. Because here's the truth, they'll never fully grasp. You don't just win for yourself. You win for every version of you that cried, that crawled, that nearly gave up. You win for the younger you who doubted everything but dreamed anyway. You win for the future you, the one who will look back on this season and say, thank you for not breaking. Every time you succeed, it's a victory for all those invisible battles. It's not just a moment, it's a monument. A proof etched in time that you didn't fold under pressure. You formed under it. You didn't collapse. You calibrated. You didn't fall apart. You fell into place. And when people say, it's unfair, it must be rigged, they're right. But not in the way they think. It is rigged. Rigged by your suffering. Rigged by your hunger. They laughed at your tears. Now karma's turning the tables. They mocked you when you were down. They scorned your pain. They turned their backs on you when you needed them the most. They thought you were weak. They thought you would break under the weight of your misery and despair. But now the tables have turned, and the very ones who once reveled in your suffering are beginning to feel the consequences of their actions. It's not your job to seek revenge. You don't need to lower yourself to their level. Karma has a way of catching up with those who think they can destroy others without paying a price. You see, the truth is that the pain they caused you wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to forge you into something stronger. You weren't meant to remain a victim. You weren't meant to bow down to their cruelty and indifference. No, you were meant to rise from it. You were meant to turn your pain into power, to transform your suffering into something that would make you unbreakable. And now, that moment has come. Karma has no mercy, and time has no patience. What they thought they could do without consequence has been waiting silently for the right moment to strike. And now, that moment is here. The tables are turning and they are beginning to feel the weight of their actions. The world has a funny way of making sure people pay for the harm they cause, and you are living proof of it. Their mockery was nothing but the catalyst for your transformation. They thought they could defeat you with their laughter and their cruelty, but all they did was awaken a beast within you. And now that beast is hungry for justice. You have walked through the fire and you have come out the other side stronger. They thought they could burn you, but instead, they ignited a fire that has lit the path to your success. Every tear you shed, every sleepless night, every moment of hopelessness was fuel for your growth. They didn't know it then, but they were planting the seeds of your power. Every insult they hurled, every harsh word they spoke, only served to sharpen you like a blade. You are no longer the fragile person they mocked. You are a force to be reckoned with, and now that force is turning against them. The universe doesn't forget the things people do to others in the darkness of their hearts. Every betrayal, every cruel word, every time they thought they could stomp on you and get away with it, is being accounted for. It's not up to you to make them pay. You don't have to chase after revenge. Karma is already doing the work for you. You just need to stay patient and let the world do what it does best. Your tears were never in vain. They were the fuel for your resilience. They were the seeds that grew into your strength. You see now that your suffering wasn't pointless. It was the price you had to pay for the power you've gained. The world works in mysterious ways, and often it's only when we are knocked down that we learn how strong we really are. You may not have understood it at the time, but every moment of pain you endured was teaching you something. It was teaching you to be fearless. It was teaching you to be relentless. It was teaching you that nothing can stop you once you decide to rise above the ashes. And now, as karma turns the tables, you will see the ones who once laughed at you squirm under the weight of their own actions. They thought they could break you. They thought they could bury you. But they didn't realize that you were never meant to be buried. You were meant to stand tall. And now, they will see that while they enjoyed your misery, your strength has become their nightmare. It's not your job to show them what they did to you. Karma will do that for you. You don't need to lower yourself to their level. You don't need to waste energy on people who never deserved a second of your time. Karma will make them see exactly what they've done. They thought they could break your spirit, but in doing so, they only made you stronger. They underestimated your will to survive. They didn't realize the depth of your determination. They saw you as weak, but in reality, you were only gathering your strength. You were only biding your time. And now, the moment has come for them to feel the consequences of their actions. They will see that karma doesn't forget, and it doesn't forgive. What goes around always comes around. You don't have to lift a finger. Karma is already at work. You might wonder why things happen the way they do. Why you had to suffer when all you wanted was peace. But in those moments of suffering, you discovered who you really are. You discovered your power. You discovered your worth. You were never meant to be a victim. You were always meant to be a warrior. You were always meant to rise above the darkness. The pain you felt was simply the beginning of your transformation. It was the fuel that pushed you to become the person you are today. And now, as karma turns the tables, you will see the world shift in your favor. You will see the people who once hurt you pay the price for their cruelty. They will see you rise and they will feel the weight of their past actions. Karma doesn't need to be rushed. It doesn't need to be forced. It works in its own time and in its own way. The ones who laughed at you when you were down will soon find themselves at the receiving end of their own actions. They will feel the sting of their own cruelty. And when that moment comes, you won't need to say a word. You won't need to remind them of the pain they caused you. Karma will do that for you. You will stand there watching as they struggle with the weight of their own mistakes, and you will feel a sense of peace. You won't need to gloat. You won't need to rub their faces in their downfall. The fact that they are now feeling what they made you feel will be enough. You don't need to lower yourself to their level. You just need to stand tall and let the world unfold as it's meant to. The ones who laughed at your tears are now the ones who will cry. They are now the ones who will feel the emptiness they tried to create in you. The hurt they caused you will come back to them in ways they never expected. And as they struggle to understand what went wrong, you will be standing at the top of your game. You will be standing as a testament to the power of resilience. They will see you rise, and they will feel the consequences of their own actions. And you will be there, watching, as karma does its work. You won't need to say a word because you will already have won. They laughed at your tears, but now they will cry for the mistakes they made. They thought they could tear you down, but all they did was set the stage for your rise. They thought they were in control, but they didn't realize that the universe always has a way of balancing the scales. And now the scales are tipping in your favor. The tables are turning, and they will soon realize that everything they did to you has come full circle. You will rise above it all, and they will be left to face the consequences of their actions. And as you rise, you will feel a sense of peace, a sense of strength that only comes from overcoming the very forces that tried to break you. Let them laugh now, because soon they will see that you were never meant to be defeated. You were always meant to rise. The very essence of your being, the depths of your soul, was never designed to stay in the pit of despair. Every time they thought they had broken you, every time they laughed at your tears, they were unknowingly forging the foundation of your future triumph. They didn't realize that the more they pushed you down, the harder they made you fight for your place in this world. They thought they were extinguishing your flame, but instead, they were stoking it, making it burn brighter, fiercer, and hotter than ever before. And now, as the universe works in its mysterious ways, as karma turns the tables, you will rise. You will rise in ways that no one could have predicted. And when you do, they will be forced to watch as the very people they sought to trample on emerge victorious. You have been tested in ways that most will never understand. You have known the kind of pain that threatens to drown you, the kind of betrayal that scars your soul. Yet here you stand, unbroken. They tried to make you believe that you were weak, that you didn't deserve peace, that you didn't deserve to be happy. They mocked you for your vulnerability. They mocked you for your pain. But in doing so, they only exposed their own ignorance. You are not weak. Number, you are a testament to resilience. You are a living proof of the power that lies within someone who refuses to bow down to the cruelty of the world. Every tear you shed, every moment of vulnerability, every time you hit rock bottom was not the end of your story. It was only the beginning. When you were down, they thought you wouldn't get back up. They thought that you would crumble under the weight of their words, under the weight of your own suffering. But they didn't understand the force of nature they were dealing with. They didn't see that the pain they caused you was not a death sentence, but rather a catalyst for your rebirth. You were like a phoenix rising from the ashes, stronger, smarter, and more determined than ever. Now, as karma turns the tables, you will rise in ways they never thought possible. They laughed at your struggles, not realizing that every obstacle you faced was shaping you into something unstoppable. They mocked your journey, but they didn't see the determination that was growing inside of you. You were quietly cultivating your strength, silently preparing for the moment when the tables would turn. And now, as the wheel of fortune spins in your favor, you will rise above them all. They will watch, helpless and desperate, as the very person they tried to break surpasses everything they ever dreamed of. They will see you rise to heights they could never reach, and they will know, deep down, that they were the architects of their own downfall. Karma does not forget. It does not care about the timeline we wish for, nor does it worry about whether or not someone deserves to face the consequences of their actions. The universe operates on its own laws, and those who think they can act without repercussion will inevitably face the results of their deeds. Every time they laughed at your pain, every time they hurt you, every time they pushed you down, karma was quietly taking notes. And now, karma is closing in, and the consequences they thought they'd never face are coming for them. But you are not here to gloat. You are not here to see them suffer in the same way they wanted to see you suffer. You are beyond that. You are better than that. Karma does not need your help to make them realize the harm they have caused. The universe will deal with them in ways you never could have imagined, and your only job now is to keep moving forward. The energy you invested in your pain, in your hurt, in your desire for revenge, should be redirected toward your growth, toward your healing, toward your success. That is the real victory. As they struggle with their own consequences, you must remember that you are not the same person you once were. You are no longer the one they used to step on. You are no longer the one they thought was easy to break. You are no longer the one they mocked for your tears. You have transformed. You have been reborn into someone stronger, someone who has seen the darkness and emerged with a new understanding of themselves, a new understanding of the world around them. You no longer need the approval of others to validate your existence. You no longer need the validation of those who sought to destroy you. You now understand that your worth was never tied to their opinions. As the tables turn, you will see those who once laughed at your pain come to terms with their own. Their arrogance, their sense of superiority, their belief that they were untouchable will begin to crumble. They will watch you rise, and they will feel the weight of their own actions pressing down on them. The world will shift in ways they didn't expect. The universe has a way of balancing the scales, and it does so with precision. It doesn't forget a single wrong, a single cruelty, a single betrayal. It doesn't forget when people think they can destroy someone without consequences. And as they watch you rise, they will slowly come to realize that they are the ones who are truly broken, while you stand tall, unshaken, and unyielding. They wanted you to fall. They wanted you to disappear. They wanted to break you down so that they could feel better about themselves. But what they didn't understand is that your strength was never dependent on them. You were always destined to rise. They could laugh at your tears all they wanted, but their laughter only served as the fuel for your fire. Every time they tore you down, they only made you more powerful. Every time they thought you couldn't stand, you proved them wrong. Every time they underestimated your resilience, you proved them wrong. And now, as karma turns the tables, they will see the fruits of their actions, and they will understand that they have been nothing but instruments in your growth. You are not the same person who once cried in the dark, the person who felt hopeless, the person who was pushed to the edge. You have transcended that version of yourself. You have learned the lessons that only suffering can teach. You have learned that resilience is not about avoiding pain. It's about how you respond to it. You have learned that strength is not about never falling. It's about always getting back up. You have learned that power comes from within, not from the approval of others. you have learned that the darkest moments often precede the brightest breakthroughs. The people who mocked you, who laughed at your struggles, who thought they could break you, they will be forced to face their own consequences. And when they do, they will realize that the very thing they tried to destroy is the thing that will eventually leave them powerless. They thought they could tear you apart, but in reality, they were only contributing to your ascension. They didn't understand that every cruelty they inflicted upon you was building the foundation for your success. They didn't understand that their laughter, their mockery, their cruelty was transforming you into someone who would one day stand tall in the face of adversity, unshaken, unyielding, and unbroken. The tables are turning. The time for you to rise has come. And as you rise, you will leave behind the people who thought they could break you. You will rise above their petty laughter, their mockery, their cruelty, and they will watch helpless as you take your place among the strongest, the most resilient, the most powerful. You will rise because it was always meant to be this way. You will rise because you were always destined for greatness, and nothing, not even their laughter, could stop that. Karma is turning the tables, and now it's your time to rise. The world has a way of balancing itself out, a mechanism that sometimes feels like a slow crawl, but always, always brings forth what is deserved. They never thought it would happen. They thought they could break you, laugh at your pain, and walk away unscathed. They thought they could have their moment, and in their arrogance, they believed that their cruelty would not come back to haunt them. But karma doesn't forget. It watches patiently, and when the time is right, it reaps what has been sown, no matter how long it takes. The people who once laughed at your suffering, mocked your vulnerability, or ignored your pain will soon realize that the tables are turning. They will see you rise, and in that moment, they will finally understand the consequences of their actions. They will realize that they were never in control, and that all along, the universe was working to set things right. It's a strange thing, isn't it? To witness the power of karma in action. When you've been hurt by others, when they've done things that seem so unjust, it can feel as though the universe is indifferent to your suffering. The days stretch on, each one seemingly more painful than the last, and the pain feels endless. You question why it's happening to you. You question the purpose of it all. Why is it that the ones who wronged you seem to prosper, while you're left in the dust? But what you don't see, what you don't feel in that moment, is that karma is working behind the scenes. It's weaving a thread of justice that will eventually catch up to everyone who thought they could escape it. It's gathering the energy, the momentum, and when the time is right, it will strike. And in that moment, you will rise, and the very people who once tore you down will be left to confront the reality they thought they could avoid. In this moment of turning, you have a choice. Will you allow your past to define your future, or will you rise above it? The choice is yours. They thought they had already won. They thought they could define your story by their cruelty, their actions, their scorn. But they didn't know that you had been writing your own story all along. Their words, their actions, their laughter were only the ink on the page, and now you are the one holding the pen. The chapters you write now will not be written by their hands, and you will not let them control the direction of your life. The tables are turning, and you are in the driver's seat of your own destiny. You can choose to remain in the shadows, allowing their words to haunt you, or you can step into the light, claiming the future that is rightfully yours. This is your time. This is the moment that was always meant to come. The weight you've been carrying, the pain you've been enduring, has been preparing you for this very moment, They never understood that the pain they inflicted upon you wasn't your downfall. It was your stepping stone. It was your foundation. You were forged in the fires of their cruelty, and now you are a force that cannot be reckoned with. The more they tried to break you, the more they gave you the strength to rebuild. The more they laughed at your suffering, the stronger you became in the face of it. What they saw as your weakness, you knew to be your greatest strength. They thought you would be defeated, but they underestimated the fire inside you, the resilience in your spirit, the power that you would one day unleash upon the world. And now, as karma turns the tables, you will show them just how wrong they were. You will rise higher than they ever imagined, and they will be forced to watch from the sidelines as you claim your rightful place. The universe is a magnificent and complex entity, one that operates on principles that often elude us. But in the end, it always finds a way to correct what has gone wrong, to balance what has been tipped, to ensure that justice is served. They may have believed they could get away with their cruelty, their manipulation, their disregard for your humanity. But the universe was always watching, taking note of every misstep, every moment they thought they could harm you and walk away without consequence. And now, as the wheel of karma turns, they will see the truth of their actions. They will see the reflection of their own wrongdoings, staring them in the face. They will see the pain they caused you come back around, and they will realize that the damage they inflicted was never meant to remain unchecked. But you will rise above it all. You are no longer the person they tried to destroy. You are no longer the one they tried to manipulate, the one they laughed at, the one they thought was easy prey. You are stronger than they ever anticipated, and you will show them that their cruelty only made you more powerful. You have shed the old version of yourself, the version that allowed them to define you, the version that felt small in the face of their actions. Now, you stand tall, unshaken, unyielding. You have become the person they never saw coming, the person who will not only survive their cruelty, but will thrive in spite of it. They will watch as you rise to heights they can never reach, and they will know that they are the ones responsible for propelling you to that place. They will know that their actions, their hatred, their laughter at your pain, were the catalyst for your growth, and they will be left with nothing but regret and the realization that they have lost everything. Karma is a force that is unstoppable, and it does not discriminate. It doesn't care how powerful someone is, how rich they are, or how much they believe they are untouchable. It finds its way into every life, into every heart, and it brings justice where it is due. The people who hurt you, the ones who mocked your pain, will eventually face the consequences of their actions. They will find that their lives are not as perfect as they once believed. They will find that the very things they once used to tear you down will come back to haunt them. The people who once laughed at your struggles will soon find themselves struggling in ways they never imagined. The ones who thought they could control you, destroy you, will realize that they were never in control at all. Karma is taking its time, but when it arrives, it will be swift and it will be sure. And as karma works its magic, you will stand strong. You will not need to say a word. You will not need to gloat. You will not need to remind them of the harm they caused you. Karma will do all the talking. Karma will make them realize the cost of their actions, and you will be there, watching from the sidelines, knowing that you were never truly defeated. You will rise in silence, letting your success, your strength, your resilience speak for you. And as you rise, you will find peace, not in the suffering of others, but in the quiet knowledge that justice has been served. You will find peace in the understanding that the universe has a way of balancing things out, of ensuring that those who hurt others are held accountable. It's time to rise. The world is waiting for you, the person you were always meant to become. You were always meant to stand tall, to claim your place, to show the world that nothing, not even the cruelest of people, can take away your power. You are the force that cannot be stopped. You are the person who will not only survive, but will thrive in the face of adversity. And as you rise, you will leave behind the ghosts of those who tried to tear you down. You will rise, stronger than ever, and karma will turn the tables. In the end, karma always finds its way, and as the tables turn, you will rise above everything they tried to throw at you. Their laughter, their cruelty, their mockery, none of it defines you. You are stronger, wiser, and more powerful than they ever imagined. As they watch you succeed, they will finally understand that their actions were the very force that propelled you to greatness. Your rise is inevitable, and nothing, not even their attempts to break you, can stop the strength and resilience within you. You were always meant to rise, and now you will.